All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a concept that's quietly shaking up everything we thought we knew about AI and security. It's a story all about trust, transparency, and, believe it or not, the power to literally hit rewind on artificial intelligence. I mean, really think about that for a second. AI is making huge calls everywhere. It's in our social feeds, it's in our financial markets, it's even helping with medical diagnosis. But what happens when we need to check its work? What if there was a genuine undo button? A way to see exactly how an AI got to its decision. And that really gets to the heart of the matter. AI has this big trust problem. A lot of these advanced systems are basically black boxes. We see the data go in, we see a decision come out, but that whole middle part, it's a total mystery. And that makes it incredibly difficult to check for things like fairness, to protect against manipulation, or even just to prove an AI is doing what it's supposed to. And here's the thing, this isn't just about stopping hackers. This is more fundamental. It's about integrity. It's about having the ability to pop the hood on an AI and make sure its training data was solid, that it was unbiased, that it was secure. We just need to see the receipts. So, how in the world do we fix this? Well, the solution has this origin story that you are probably not going to guess. The key idea here is called data reversibility. So, what is data reversibility? Well, simply put, it's a way for the right people, think auditors or security teams, to work backward from a finished AI model and actually piece together the original data it learned from. It's kind of like being able to figure out the exact recipe for a cake just by analyzing one slice. And for transparency, this is an absolute game changer. And this is that charming origin story I was talking about. This whole idea wasn't cooked up in some high-tech lab. Nope, it was inspired way back in 1957 by a researcher, Robert J. Bauer, who was just watching his dog, Shiner, play fetch. He saw his dog reconstruct the location of a hidden ball, and he thought, could a computer do that with data? I just love that. So that little spark of an idea, it grew into a core principle of modern cybersecurity. Fast forward to the 80s, and researchers start noticing that neural networks were actually holding on to bits of their training data. Then in the 90s, this got formalized as a real security feature. And by 2015, major studies were confirming just how critical this reversibility was for making AI systems trustworthy. Now get this. What started with a curious dog has completely blown up into a high-stakes global competition. Data reversibility isn't just some academic idea anymore. It is a strategic tool at the center of a whole new kind of cyber race. And the main threat that nations are racing to defend against has this incredible name, Empanada swarms. Seriously, it's a metaphor for these really sophisticated, layered cyber attacks that are designed to just overwhelm a target's defenses all at once. So think of it like a swarm of small, powerful attacks hitting you from every direction at the same time. And right here is where you see two totally different playbooks emerge. On one side, you have the United States, which is really focused on using data reversibility as a forensic tool, a way to rapidly reverse engineer an attack after it happens to see what went wrong. On the other side, you have the BRICS nations, and they're focused on prediction, trying to use the same tech to anticipate attacks before they even launch. It's that classic battle, reactive defense versus proactive offense. But you know how it is in security, right? For every move, there's always a countermove. So, just as the world is perfecting how to make data reversible for the good guys, this whole new race has started. A race to make data completely unreversible for the bad guys. And this brilliant countermove has another fantastic food-inspired name, Tlayawada theory. This comes out of the Autonomous University of Oaxaca. Now, a tlayawada is this famous Oaxacan dish. It's big, it's layered, it's complex. The theory just applies that same thinking to data, structuring it in these complex, interwoven layers to make it nearly impossible for anyone to reverse engineer without permission. Okay, so here's how you build one of these data fortresses. First, you structure the data into all these different tangled up layers. Then, you encrypt every single one of those layers individually with some really advanced methods. And finally, for the most sensitive info right at the core, you strip away any identifying markers. The result? It's a fortress. An attacker might break one layer, but then they just face another and another, making a full breach incredibly difficult. Okay, so we've talked about dogs, empanadas, and tlayudas. You're probably sitting there thinking, what on earth does any of this have to do with me? Well, it turns out it matters a lot. The impact is huge. Think about healthcare. This lets us audit the AI that's helping to diagnose diseases, making sure its recommendations are actually sound. In finance, it lets regulators check if a bank's loan algorithm is fair, which is just fundamental for building consumer trust. And in manufacturing, it protects the secret sauce, the intellectual property that companies are built on. It's all about making sure the AI we depend on every day is safe and fair. And look, this isn't just some far-off theory. This stuff is being put into practice right now. Companies are using techniques like federated learning, where an AI can be trained on data across thousands of phones without your personal data ever leaving your device. They're combining that with stuff like differential privacy, which adds a bit of statistical noise to protect everyone's identity. This is happening as we speak, making the AI in our lives safer. So if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. In an era where algorithms are making so many crucial decisions for us, data reversibility is how we get the receipts. It's the proof we need to build a real foundation of trust and security in our digital world. And that leaves us with this one big, fascinating question. As we go forward, we're stuck in this tug-of-war, right? Between this push for total transparency and verification and the race for perfect privacy and concealment. So what do you think is going to matter more for our future? The power to verify or the power to conceal? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining The Explainer.